Well, hello again, everyone. Going to be doing something new again today in Creekview Acres. Going to be building a table. When Rita was just a small child, well, her grandparents had a round dining room table, and they had a Lazy Susan in the center of the table. She remembers that from her childhood, and she's wanted a table like that, so we're going to attempt to build one. And when Rita she's about 9 or 10 years old, well, her grandparents' house burned to the ground. Nothing was saved, and it, of course, burned the table up. And the table we're building is going to be 5 foot 6 inches across, so 66 inches across. If you look at this lumber, this is the bottom side of the lumber, but this is some cherry that we had in our lumber stash. And the reason we've got the good side down, we're using Kreg pocket screws and of course glue when we put all of these boards together. And the pocket screws will be underneath, so you won't see them on the top of the table. There's the general shape of our table. I'll show you next how we made the circle we're going to draw to make a round table. What I've done here, this is about a 3 foot long piece of just OSB, scrap OSB. I bored a hole here in the end of it for a screw where it fits kind of loose to where it will move easy. And if you look right here, I have a hole punched in the center of the table. This widest board here is going to be exactly in the middle of the table, so that's centered this way and it's centered from side to side. So we're going to put this screw in here, just enough to hold it. Don't want to come through the other side. I bored another hole for a pencil, and it fits rather tight. So that's how we're going to get our circle. The only reason we're doing this is to make sure our boards are long enough as we go around in a circle. And this will have to be redone later once we trim the boards down and glue them together. But you can see how this works. A little squeaky, but it just makes a circle. And it's going to have a Lazy Susan in the middle of it. So you can set it to the table and put the food up on the Lazy Susan and just spin it around and get what you want. Okay, I just checking to see here, and we are at 66 inches where our line drew. And I'm sure it's the same no matter where you check it. Yep, 66 inches. So this line will change because we got to cut the edges of the boards. We're going to run them through the table saw just to straighten them up. So once we do that, then we'll have to redraw the line. But just wanted to draw it to show you how that jig that we made works. Next we'll run the boards through the planer, and then we'll run them through the table saw and straighten the edges up. Alright, here's our planer we're going to be using, and this has a dust collector built onto it. You can see right there. And I got the shop vac hooked up. It moves it up and down, as you can see there. See the head moving. And this has a gauge on the side. And that's an inch. Once you get it to where you want it, you push down on that and that locks the head. You run your board through, you raise that up, and then you lower it just a little bit more. Lock it down. And you can see Rita putting on her ear protection, and I wear one also because it gets pretty loud, especially with the shop vac running at the same time. Got two machines going, it gets pretty noisy. when you get all your boards close to where you think they need to be, you can go back and set this like on 3/4, and then you can run all the boards through again and they will all be at 3/4. All the boards are planed. This is the bottom side turned up, so but all the top side are all planed, they're all the correct depth, so it should glue up really well now. Okay, we got the edges of the boards sawed and ready to do the Kreg joints. You see that joint right there, looks pretty good. It should pull together nicely. Next, here's our little Kreg jig that we use. Next we'll do that, get our hose board, our pocket hose board, and start putting these together. Alright, you see my mark right here. This is going to be my first pocket screw. And this is the very edge board. And you just adjust this hold down to where it's tight against the board, and then that locks it down. So there's our first one. And we're set, if you look on the side right there, we're set on 3/4. Maybe you can see that, which means we're using a 3/4 board. That's what this adjustment is. And this has 3 holes. If you're doing like a cabinet door or cabinet rails or something where you want 2 pocket screws close together, you can use these 2. Or if you have a wider piece, you could use this one and spread them apart. We're just using one, so I'm going to use the center one. There's a pocket screw hole, and that screw will be approximately in the center of this board. Then it goes into the next board, screws down into it. Very strong joint. Put glue in it and the pocket screw, and it will not go anywhere. Alright, we have our 3 pocket screw hose board in the first board. That's the edge of the table. So we'll come back here on the next board, and we're going to put one right in between the 2 marks on the first board. And we'll get it up here where we can see it right there. And right in there. And this is not, I'm not measuring, this is just eyeball. We'll put another one right here, where the ends of them are. Right there. Alright, we'll bore those holes, and while I'm into it, I need to bore the holes on the opposite side of this second board before I start putting it all together. Right, here's our progress so far. We're a little past center. This is a center board right here. So that side's finished. We have 2 more boards that are leaning up against the wall over there. Got all our boards put together. And now I'm drawing my circle. I don't know if you can probably see the line I've already drew one time. We'll go back around it, make it darker. Where we'll cut the table. We're going to end up with a good round table. So we bought an 8-foot white wood 4x4, and if you look at this, this is more of a finished 4x4. or the rounded edges. So kind of a neat looking piece of wood, and it's just pine, just white wood it's called. So we had an 8-foot piece. First thing we did was cut it exactly in the center. So we have 2 pieces that are 4 foot each, and then we'll cut these in the center. That will give us 4 2-foot pieces for our legs. We're laying out the legs here, and our braces, you can see we've got a 4-way, so we have 2 braces going this way and 2 this way.
I think the plan here is each of these joiners have an S at the top of them, and then the measurement over to the side here. So that's the way that we're going to position all of the joiners, instead of just randomly putting them somewhere, so that they're all uniform. And we're putting it 2 inches from the bottom.
We wanted the screws across. Okay, there's the first 2 put on, and we're using 1.5 inch number 10 head screws. And if you'll look, the number 10 head fills that up nicely, looks good. A smaller head screw, you'd see a gap around it or it would sink in too far. So we got the right screw for this. But 1.5 inch long, number 10s. We got ahead of ourselves. We can't put, even though I've already put this one on, we can't put brackets on first, because we're using a 4-way here in the middle, and all of these screw on clockwise like that. So if you put this one in clockwise and this one goes clockwise, if you turn it around, then if you try to tighten this one this way, it unscrews this. Same thing on the brackets. So you have to put all of these together. There's what it will look like. Then, that's for the other one. Then we have to put these pieces on. So all of this has to all go together. And then you put the screws in them into the post, these pieces. It's the only way to work. All right, we've got our legs put together, and we also put some bracing underneath the tabletop. Of course, we haven't cut the circle yet, but there it is, setting on the legs that we built. Now, it is low because we aren't finished with the legs. We're putting 3 step blocks, which are sitting over there on the floor, right there. They'll go on each leg, so that's going to make the table 4.5 inches higher than what you're seeing here. But it fits, it's good and sturdy. We're going to flip this back over and we'll show you the bracing we put underneath. Just 1x4 pine. We glued it, screwed it down to the tabletop. That allows the legs to sit against these in each position, and then when we get ready to finish the table, we just got some L brackets like this, and here's what we're going to put on the bottom of each leg. Just a little stair step, 3 pieces of 2x6 that we ripped down accordingly. So all four will get that, and that'll give us a finished height of around 29.5 to 29 3/4 inches. That's what each leg's going to look like. And all we're doing is stacking them like this. And of course checking, making sure that they have the same reveal on all four sides. And then I'm gluing each one. Glue the first one to the post. And then I'm using a brad nailer, put a couple of nails. Same with the second one. Glue, a couple of nails, and the final one. And then once we get all of these put on, we're going to use these long screws. These are framing screws. And we'll just bore a hole right in the center. Go down through all three pieces into the post, and you can see the screw's long enough to reach into the post. See, it'll go down an inch or so. So that should keep everything together. And we will recess the head of this framing screw. I'll just where it won't show.
We hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, and we'd love it if you would subscribe to our channel. Thanks.